All right, we're back. It's been a little while. Work was crazy, so couldn't get into the videos. But today we're going to bring you way too early predictions for this upcoming NFL season for NFL awards. You know, dark horse for who's going to possibly be MVP, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year. So I guess I'll start us off, and of course, got a couple candidates for each category. But my first dark horse, and this is the thing, these are dark horse MVPs. These aren't going to be, your average, like, all right, Patrick Mahomes, because, he's always going to be a candidate. So these are more of the guys that, maybe you weren't thinking about that could be really good this year and possibly challenge those, you know, those big name guys everybody knows about. So my first one for the dark horse MVP is Josh Allen for the Bills. Looking at what he's done going into now his third year and what he's facing this year, getting some more weapons on offense with the Bills bringing in Stephon Diggs and him having a good year last year. And now his wide receiving core has improved. His offensive line has improved. He's got Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley and John Brown at wide receiver. So he's going to have plenty of weapons to be able to make that run. The fact that, the Patriots are not necessarily going to be that perennial powerhouse that we're used to, he could have a very big year. Last year was a good year for him. He had an 85% completion rating, which was, top 10, and he threw 20 touchdowns versus only 9 interceptions. So I think Josh Allen could have a big year and improve on those numbers. I think this year his numbers are going to be more reflective of in the 4,000-yard passing area and probably closer to 30 touchdowns. And his interception ratio will probably be right around what it was this year, between like 9 and 13. Hopefully he doesn't go over that, 13, 15 mark, something like that. Because, whenever you get a lot of turnovers in there, that will be the biggest thing that will, halt an MVP run. Because if you look at what Jameis Winston did last year, statistically thrown for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, that's an MVP type season. But because he coupled it with 30 interceptions to go with it, then it doesn't look so good. But if he could have kept it around, between 10 and 15 interceptions, Jameis Winston would have been an MVP candidate last year. So I think Josh Allen could be a dark horse this year to be an MVP candidate. So who's your first one?
You gotta define. You gotta break down. Are we talking candidates or people just to win it? Like the dark horse winner, like someone that wouldn't expect to win it to win.
Either way, because I'm throwing candidates up right now. So it's like could be a candidate for that MVP.
All right. Well, mine was going to be Christian McCaffrey, and the only reason I say he's a dark horse is because it's the nature of the league. It's a quarterback league. Period. That doesn't matter. I mean, you got a QB that throws for like 500 yards but rushes for 1,500 yards. He becomes an MVP because he's a quarterback. I mean, forget the fact that a running back could do the same thing. No, he's a quarterback, and his team made it to the playoffs. He gets the MVP. So that's the way I look at it. But I think being that what Christian McCaffrey did last year, rushing for 1,000 yards, almost receiving for 1,000 yards, like having way over like 1,500 yards total from the line of scrimmage, the amount of catches that he did, the utility that he showed game in and game out consistently.
Yeah.
Like, I think if he repeats it again this year, it would be a huge discredit to that guy not to get the MVP.
Okay.
I mean, he's even with getting like Robbie Anderson and a whole bunch of other receivers, I mean, that defenses are game planning for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, Teddy Bridgewater is a really good quarterback. He's a good game manager. But because he's a game manager at this stage of his career, like they're game planning for Christian McCaffrey. How are you going to stop this guy? And then last year, it didn't matter what you did. You put 8 in the box. You put, DBs all over the place. You had a spy on him. This dude still managed to run for over 100 yards about every game and added about 95 yards, so maybe 100 yards receiving in every game, just about.
Well,
I mean,
I mean, you were right. He rushed for 1,300 yards and he had 1,000 yards receiving. So he had over 2,000 all-purpose yards last year. We talked about this. He should have won MVP last year. He had the fourth best season of running backs ever had.
mm-hmm. So, I mean, but like I said, being that the league is a quarterback league, and, you know, when you got dynamic talent like, you know, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, like, quarterbacks always get the nod for some odd reason. But I think, like I said, if this guy can do it repeatedly and being like the sole work in a league where pretty much everybody's using running back by committees, and then here's this one guy that he is an every down back, and he does like what 90% of all the offense flowed through him.
70, I believe it was like 69.7 of their offense went through him.
Yeah.
19 of their touchdowns were him, whether it was receiving or rushing.
Yeah. So there you go. If he can repeat that again this year, I think he wins it.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, and it's to me, it's still a tall order because you got Drew Brees, who, you know, provided he doesn't get hurt last year, he probably wins the MVP just because he was on track.
Yeah.
So, and with, you know, when you look at him having Emmanuel Sanders, you know, to go along with Michael Thomas, the fact that he restructured or read up his line, you know, gave better protection up front.
Yeah.
Like, he can do some serious damage, and it could be easily like a 5,000, you know, it could be him breaking the touchdown record this year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
that's the only reason why I put Christian McCaffrey as a dark horse winner for this year.
Yeah.
Just the fact that it normally doesn't go to running backs unless they do something like 2,000 yards rushing or something phenomenal.
And it is a tall order just because to look at the year he had, which, you know, one, he broke his own record from the year prior for receptions with, you know, like 117 receptions in the year prior. He had 105. I mean, if I told you anybody, receiver or running back, is going to have 117 receptions for 1,005 yards and 5 touchdowns, that is a exceptional year for a wide receiver. And then you couple it with the fact that he's a running back and he also rushed for 1,300 yards. Like, it's absolutely insane. And it is a tall order because he had a historical year last year. So, I mean, it's very hard to repeat those kind of numbers, you know, and a lot of it was because he was one of their only weapons. You know, he was so featured that you're hoping they don't have to try and feature him that much again because, you know, obviously the most impressive thing was defenses knew what Carolina was going to do and they knew where the ball was going, and he was still able to do that. So yeah, absolute freak in nature. And that's why, you know, we've said he's the best all-around running back in the league right now. There may be better running backs as far as rushing, but all-around running back, he's it. He's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's definitely a dark horse for the MVP. Even though after the year he had, I couldn't really call him a dark horse. Everybody knows this guy's legit. So
that's what I was saying. Like, are you leaning just candidates, or are you talking about just to win it? If it's just to win it, to me, he's as darker horse as anybody else. But yeah, as far as if it were just candidates, yeah, I can give that. You know, if I had to say a candidate, dark horse, I mean, I'd actually be honest with you. I could say Baker Mayfield.
mm-hmm.
With Stefanski down at being his coach, yeah, and then the LSU office coordinator or passing QB, now the office coordinator. I think he might be able to whip him up. He's got all the weapons, you know, Odell, Landry. He's got Hopper. He's got Njoku. He's got 2 beast running backs in Chubb and Hunt.
Yep.
I mean, there are no more excuses. They got, you know, they kind of retool their offensive line, so he'll have protection this year. He won't be on such a rush. But I mean, if he puts it together, I mean, he can. I mean, the offense will look similar to what he had in Oklahoma. I mean, if they stick with that LSU type offense, it's going to be a 3 receiver, you know, spread type offense, you know, single running back, whatever. A lot of pro set, a lot of shotgun. Yeah. So he might actually key to his mobility, you know, being that maybe mobility wise, him and Joe Burrow are kind of similar. I wouldn't say like, you know,
yeah. Yeah, you went mute for a second there. That was weird. But no, it's all good. I know exactly what you're saying, and he definitely is. And we've talked about this in other videos. This is Baker's year where there can be no more excuses. It's time to to put up or shut up, because they've given everything he needs to succeed. So
and we've seen glimpses in the past. Cleveland's defense can be at that elite level, that tier as a team.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of regressed last year, but the year prior to that, I mean, they were losing games by field goals.
Yeah.
I think it was like the first 6 games were by field goals.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that they can actually play to a high caliber level. So the fact that he also has a defense in Cleveland, like, they could actually be a 49er start. I wouldn't be surprised if they go like 7-0 out the gate, and end up being one of those top contenders in the AFC.
And sticking with, having all the weapons, and it's time to really see what you can do, and sticking with the quarterback position, because they're always MVP candidates. Another one I saw was Kyler Murray. This could be his type of year where he could be a dark horse for the MVP with all the weapons that they've given him all around him. He can be absolutely legit this year. It's all going to be on how he progresses, going into that next year. Now, does he get a little better? Because obviously the team didn't have great success around it with only 5 wins, but with what they've done in free agency and the draft, now, they went out there and they stole DeAndre Hopkins to go opposite of Larry Fitzgerald. So, he's got weapons now, and he's got a good tight end. Like, he could be another one of those guys that's a dark horse, especially because, when you see a team that's 5-11, and say they do turn it around this year and they win 10 games and they're a playoff team, you know what I mean? And it's all because he was able to do everything, obviously with the help of the guys around him, because you still need your teammates to help you. You can be the greatest guy in the world, and if you don't have people around you, it's not really going to matter. So, but now he's got those people. So I could definitely see Kyler Murray, I wouldn't say coming out of nowhere, but as far as this instance, he would be coming out of nowhere, because nobody's really talking about him as far as an MVP candidate. So, if they can get off to a quick start and he can start lighting it up, because the one thing, Kyler Murray, he's not a running quarterback. He's a quarterback that can run. And, we've said this numerous times, there is a difference. So, he's not like the Lamar Jackson where he's going to rush for 1,000 yards, because he does look to pass first, and he will go through his progressions. And the one thing I said that kind of scared me about him a little bit was accuracy and reading defenses. I'll tell you what, with the 2 wide receivers he has now, he doesn't have to be so accurate, because if you get the ball anywhere near those guys, they're going to come down with it. They're both, big, lanky, fast, strong guys that, have had tons of success with a lot of QBs. So with those types of wide receivers and weapons, get the ball in the general area and you're in pretty good shape. So
yeah, and to me, he's it's almost Seattle but with a better receiving core. And Kyler Murray kind of plays to me like Russell Wilson. He is a pass first quarterback, but if he feels it's not there, he can take off. But his mobility is what makes him dangerous, because you have to play honest. You can't drop that extra guy in coverage, because if he takes off, like, he's going to run for 15 yards, 20 yards before you touch him. And if you play too close up, he's accurate enough, and he can read well enough to actually hit receivers out in open spots in zone coverages, or I don't even want to bring up man-to-man, because having to cover DeAndre Hopkins man-to-man is a tall order for just about anybody.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, and Kyler Murray's got an arm. He can lay it out there. So, it's not a matter of like, okay, well, we'll cover the medium to short stuff because he's a little flaky on his long ball.
Absolutely.
Like, no, he can get you deep.
And my my other, I only had one other dark horse, and big name guy, but had a down year last year. Well, down year for him. Still a very, very good year statistically, but one of his worst years since coming in the league. And for me, it's Zeke. Ezekiel Elliott. I think he could absolutely be a dark horse to win an MVP this year. And it's specifically because of the added weapons that the Cowboys got at the wide receiver position. They already had 2,000-yard wide receivers last year with Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper. And then they went out and got the best wide receiver in the nation with CeeDee Lamb. when you have those type of weapons, the defense has to attack you with certain formations, and it's going to leave a lot open for the run game. And I've said this in earlier videos. I think Zeke is going to have the biggest year he's had as a pro because of how lethal the passing game is, that I think it's going to open up the run game big time for him, because I think defenses are going to be almost cheating a little bit to try and stop the passing game and not necessarily forget about him, but because the linemen are going to be one-on-one, he might not be seeing contact till the second level. So I think he has a very big year and can be up at that like 1,800 yard mark for rushing. I said I actually had him this year breaking the Dallas Cowboys single season rushing record, which is held by DeMarco Murray. So to do that, he would have to be, over 1,850 with yards, which I think he can because of everything else that's around him now. He's not going to be forgotten about, but in a way, I kind of think he might get lost in the mix because they're so worried about, stopping all these wide receivers. So he was my other dark horse for, like I said, obviously he's a big name guy, but, having only 1,300 yards rushing last year, he wasn't talked about as much as you were used to seeing. So I think he could have a breakout year this year.
Yeah.
So
I see it.
did you have anybody else for MVP?
Nah, that's pretty much my short list.
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I figured. And this is the thing. I know, obviously we didn't talk about it beforehand. Who are you going to highlight and who I was? And I was right with you with the CeeDee Lamb thing for the same reason. The situation that CeeDee Lamb is walking into is probably the best situation of any rookie in the league right now. No other rookie's really walking into the situation he is, where he's walking into pretty much a 5,000-yard passing quarterback, that's got an all-pro running back, two other wide receivers that are very, very dangerous, 1,000-yard guys. So right now in the depth chart, he's sitting at like number 2 or 3, depending on what formation you might play. So this guy could be seeing mismatches like crazy all year, because if they line him up in a slot, now he's either got a linebacker or a safety or possibly, a nickel corner who's probably the third corner on the team. So because of what he's going to be facing, yeah, I think, he's got a really, really good chance to win Rookie of the Year, because he could beast out just because of who his mismatches are going to be week in and week out. Yeah. My other one, though, for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and this guy I think really has a very good shot for the exact same reasons I just said CeeDee Lamb did, and that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back that came out of LSU that got drafted in the first round by Kansas City. It's the exact same situation. You look at what he's walking into, because they are known as such a passing team and, air it out. And everybody talks about how their wide receivers are, it's a 4x100 track team and try and catch him. He could be in that same situation that I mentioned with Zeke, that because of all the other weapons, he could have a 1,300 rookie campaign with yards, because they're going to forget about him. And this guy is a top running back. You watch him play, and he is outstanding. I said I watch him play, and I always said I hate comparing new players to guys that have already been in the league. But just going by his style of play and the way he runs the ball, he reminds me so much of Emmitt Smith. It's ridiculous. So the situation that he's walking into with already having a great line, obviously they're the Super Bowl champions, that's a very, very good team that you just added a really good running back to the mix. So now granted, he's going to share time, but at the same time, if he starts to really show out over that guy, he could become the starter and, be the main benefactor of all the carries. So I have him as a very, very possible Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah. I mean, and I thought about him too, but I kind of put him and Jonathan Taylor in the same boat. It's just that you just don't really know like how many touches they're going to have. I mean, when you look at Damian Williams in Kansas City, I mean, he took the job from LaShawn McCoy. Mm-hmm. Like McCoy was a starter at the beginning of the season. And even when you look at the success they had in the Super Bowl, a lot of that was because Kansas City was actually able to run the ball on that San Francisco front seven. So, and Damian Williams was a key part of that. You know, it's not like he actually even needed a fullback. It was predominantly him. I mean, granted, yeah, the scheme of things and those guys worrying about Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins, you know, and Miracle Hardman, it helps. You know, Travis Kelce, it helps. But like he actually made some good runs in that game. So, like, with Williams having familiarity with the scheme, with the offense, with the players already having that kind of chemistry, like I just don't know. Now, granted, having him as a insurance policy, if Damian Williams was to get hurt, which was kind of the knock on him coming out of Oklahoma, is that he was kind of injury prone. I mean, it's beautiful, and yeah, if that was to happen, and knock on wood, if that was to happen early in the season, and he had to step in, yeah, definitely. But to me, like I said, with Jonathan Taylor going to Indianapolis, I mean, you got Marlon Mack there. Is Jonathan Taylor a talent? Yes. I mean, he's almost on par, if not exactly on par with, to me, in my eyes, with Christian McCaffrey. This guy can catch. He can run. You know, he's a 3-down back. He's all of Wisconsin's offense. You know, the offense
very
lives
similar.
and died.
Yeah, very similar playing style, without a doubt.
Right. You know, and then when you look at the Christian McCaffrey, when he was at Stanford, it was the same way. It was all through him, you know, play action, dives, whatever. If Stanford had success in a game, is because Christian McCaffrey was going off.
Yeah.
You know, you stop Christian McCaffrey, you beat Stanford, you know, and proved true with Jonathan Taylor. You stopped him, you know, like the Big Ten championship game. Like he had a crazy first half. Ohio State adjusted. He couldn't do nothing in the second half. They lost. Yeah. So, you know, him and Indy, and, you know, you got Frank right there who knows how to – he's got that offense trending in the right direction. You know, got Phillip Rivers. They got receivers. They did well in the draft. You know, they also, you know, look to protect Phillip Rivers by getting some guards, which all will help out if he can get some touches, or if he makes a huge splash, you know, in, say, preseason, because you're not going to have much of OTAs in training camp, you know, as of right now. But if he were to do something, say, in the preseason game or even the first two games, he takes over, that he could be an offensive rookie MVP.
Yeah, I actually had Jonathan Taylor on my list too. When I put four guys together for offense, he was one of them. It was CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then Joe Burrows. Because if Joe Burrow steps into Cincinnati and, you know, he's able to string together a good rookie campaign and, you know, get them to 500 or a little better, you know, he could easily win Offensive Rookie of the Year, because we said it is a quarterback-driven league, and they're always going to get, you know, all of the camera time and, you know, all the hype, because, you know, they're the quarterback and stuff like that. So, you know, that's why I put Joe Burrow there too, because I'm like, he could easily, you know, come out and be that.
And the thing is, it's not a whole lot of pressure either. It's not like Joe Burrow has to lead Cincinnati to a playoff. I mean, Kyler Murray won it with winning 5 games.
Exactly.
You know, as long as the numbers are there, you know, and yeah, it can easily very well. You got Tyler Boyd, you got AJ Green, you got John Ross. Yeah. You know, you got weapons there that you can, you know, he can easily throw for, you know, 4,000, 5,000 yards.
And honestly, the same thing could be said for Justin Herbert, you know, in LA. So,
but he's got to win that job, because they're saying Tyrod Taylor's a starter. So
for now,
he wins it.
Tyrod Taylor's been having a very hard time staying healthy his last couple of years. You know, he's been starting, you know, seasons as a starter, and by like week 3 he's gone, because, you know, especially now with the concussion things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see. Defensive Rookie of the Year, who you rolling with?
Man, part of me wants to be biased, but
he's on my list. I know who you're going to say, and he's one of my 4 guys.
Yeah, just Simmons. I think he's going to win it. I think Simmons is going to win it. He's one of those guys, again, just like we were mentioning. I guess it's going to be a prelude when it comes to rookies.
Hold on. You said biased. I thought you were going to go with Kinlaw from the Niners.
Yeah, well, I want to say that, but I want to say that, but when I look at overall impact, because you say MVP, Like there's a huge impact there. And when you look at Isaiah Simmons, the position that he's playing, he, like I say, there's just too much that revolves around him. You know, he can sack the QB, he can make interceptions, tackles.
You know, we still don't know how the Cardinals are going to use him. I mean, they say that, you know, it's looking like they're going to use him like he was used in college, and he could play linebacker and play some safety.
Yeah.
Because of his 4.3 speed. So, you know, having that Swiss Army knife out there, definitely, it's going to look. He's definitely got a better chance knowing that he's not stuck in one set position. You know, he's going to be able to move around the field and have impacts in different ways.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but when you look at it though, I mean, if you ran, say, even if you ran a base like 4.3, I mean, his position, he can guard slot, he can guard tight ends. You don't have to bring that strong safety down. And to me, that's like one of the things that it will help his game, because he played so many other positions in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll do extra things for him at that linebacker role, because, you know, you don't have to pull him out because, oh, they're going to a 3-receiver, 4-receiver set. You know, you can leave him in. He's got 4.3 speed. He's agile. He can keep up with that skinny slot guy, you know. Or if they decide to go big slot, like, say, what New Orleans or San Francisco might do this year. You know, when you have a 6'4", 220-pound Kendrick Bourne lined up in the slot, that's fine too, because he's not a short guy, and he's not light in the butt. You know, he can actually, you know, he can body with them. Outside on the edge, blitzing, you know, dropping back in coverage, like all of it. Where, to me, Javon Kinlaw, being that he's a defensive tackle, now granted, yeah, San Fran might roll him out to DN every once in a while on passing downs, but predominantly he's a defensive tackle. Okay. So his stats are like, you know, restricted to sacks, tackles for loss. Yep. You know, maybe he might get passes batted down, but you probably have to do some absurd amount, like bat 30 passes down in a season.
See, that's the thing that's always bothered me, though, because there's no statistic for, you know, a D tackle that, you know, just is a game wrecker in the fact that just how disruptive they can be in the backfield. You know, there's no statistic for disruption where, all right, he didn't necessarily get the sack, or, you know, but he got into the backfield and, you know, wherever the running play was going, made the running back have to cut back and go the opposite way, and then somebody else gets a tackle for the loss. Or he rushes the quarterback and it winds up, you know, he winds up throwing a pick, or, you know, just has to throw it away. You know, there's no statistic for disruption. And there are certain guys out there that, yeah, they don't light up the scoreboard with, you know, sacks and stuff like that, but they're just so damn disruptive that, you know, they don't get the credit they deserve, because there's no stat that shows it. You know, like the Dominic and Sues and stuff like that don't get tons of sacks, but they're just crazy disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and, yeah,
that's how Kinlaw, you know, like he's not going to light up the scoreboard, but he's super disruptive.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, it's all about the flashy things. You know, when you talk about pick sixes, which, you know, easily can be done with you know, Simmons. You talk about interceptions, you know, shutting down people, like that's the more flashy stats. You know, when you look at a guy that's like, he's an outside linebacker, but say he has, you know, 15 pass defenses, you know, that's not something that, you know, it's really synonymous with outside linebacker. You figure, oh, that'd be a nickel corner or a dime corner or even a safety coming down, but an outside linebacker. And then, like I say, you throw in, okay, he chips in 7.5 sacks. You know, he's got 50 tackles or 40 tackles for, you know, 40 solo tackles. I mean, you can just bread it up at the linebacker spot.
Yeah. I am interested to see Simmons when he does get in the NFL, and say he does have to cover a slot wide receiver, like, you know, a Cole Beasley type or something like that. Because, yes, he does have 4.3 speed, straight line speed. But the one knock on Simmons was that he had very tight hips. So when it came time to, you know, open up and turn and run with the guys, and they're not going to be running a straight line, you know what I mean? So he may open up his hips, turn to go and run, and all of a sudden, you know, the guy makes a dart move to the outside, and now he's got to adjust his hips again to turn. I'm just interested to see how he does cover these, you know, these slot guys or these wide receivers, not necessarily tight ends, you know, the shorter, more agile, really quick slot guys. to see how that works. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just interested to see how it was, because one of the the downsides whenever they're judging these guys was just his hip movement. They said he had very tight hips, so it's just going to be interesting to see. But I do think the guy's a beast. And I mean, as far as picking a defensive rookie of the year, yeah, that's a solid pick for you. I mean, that could easily happen. I'm my main pick for defensive rookie of the year, I'm going with Patrick Queen for the Ravens. I think he's walking into a very good situation, already a very good defense. He's got, good people behind him. He's got really good people in front of him. They went out and the Ravens got Calais Campbell and Derek Wolfe on the D line. That's going to swallow up a lot of those offensive linemen and leave him free to, be meeting tackles one-on-one where he's not having to shed blocks. So I think Patrick McQueen, for, a lot of the same reasons that we talked about the offensive rookie of the years, they're walking into really, really good situations. So I think Patrick Queen is going to have a very big year as a rookie just because of where he's going. So I'm going to roll with Patrick Queen and say he probably wins rookie of the year for defense. So
one thing to me that's going to be interesting with Patrick Queen is like he's one of those linebackers that's kind of light, and like AFC has got some big boy tight ends that can move.
Yeah.
So I mean, like when you look at, he's got one on his own team. When you look at was it Mark Andrews? He's going to see a lot of those guys. The tight end that's in Buffalo, that guy is, he's a 6'5", 230-pound, and he runs a 4.445.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to run and jump with that guy? He's going to see Travis Kelce this year. You're going to be able to run when he starts to box you out. You're going to be able to get around him. You're going to be able to shed him when he's coming at you blocking, because he's not going to be some slow trotting dude. Oh, I'm going to come block you. Like, he's going to come with some force. To me, that'll be the only thing. Now, as far as like the pressure aspect, when they send him, like when they take him off the chain and they sick him on the QB, like him getting to the QB, yeah, that's going to be a sight to see. He's going to be a monster in that aspect, and yeah, he is a tackling machine, but I don't know if it's going to be predicated where he's going to have to do a lot of tackling from behind, or is he going to be able to meet you in the gap? He's going to be able to sit in the hole, meet you, and then stick you. Like, to me, that's where I'm interested to see with his weight gain. Now, I'm pretty sure in the NFL, like, that's one of the things they're going to focus on, if they're not already having him focus on it, is, adding some muscle, bulking up a little bit, to get used to the rigors of having to deal with all, NFL offensive linemen, guards and such.
Yeah. All right. Comeback player of the year.
If he plays, Alex Smith.
Okay.
If he plays, granted, with Ron Rivera in there, I believe he's going to probably take it slow with that offense, in terms of, trying to find the right receivers and not ask too much of McLaurin. But if Alex Smith comes back and he's actually full tilt, 100% ready to go, I definitely believe like he will be the comeback player of the year. He will have a really good season. Outside of the first 6 years he was in San Francisco with 6 different offensive coordinators and head coaches, like he has not had a bad season.
No, he said he's consistently a 10-win guy every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the past decade. The guy just consistently gets shit on by everybody, and I mean, granted, he was with the Niners. They're constantly winning 10 games. They get enamored with Colin Kaepernick and the flash of his style, and they release him to Kansas City. And he goes to Kansas City, and he just continues to win 10 games and consistently be in the playoffs. And then, unfortunately, you got Patrick Mahomes, who everybody was super, super high on, and obviously for good reason, where they're like, we got to get this kid on the field from what we're seeing in practice and preseason games. And, he gets shipped off to Washington, where first year there, he lights it up again until he gets hurt. And it's just like, yeah, this guy's consistently been an extremely good quarterback. There was a lot of guys when I started looking through the league, like who could win comeback player of the year, that I was like, man, there's a lot, because you got, either guys who were injured in the year last year, so they'd be candidates for it, or you have guys like, I mean, if you just want to go right off the top and be like, oh, the easiest pick for comeback player of the year, Gronk. Guy's coming back. Let him
Yeah.
be a normal Gronk, and he's going to win comeback player of the year. Because if he does return to normal form and does the things that he does, probably one of the hardest guys in the history of the league to cover, because he's a human cheat code because of his side, his strength and speeds, and his hands, because he's got hands like glue. I don't think he gets enough credit for how good his hands are. I mean, Gronk could easily run away with this thing. And I mean, there's a couple guys like, you got Gronk, you got Todd Gurley. If he goes to Atlanta and absolutely lights it up, he could be comeback player of the year. Trent Williams with the Niners. He sat out all last year with Washington. Niners signed him. He's one of the best linemen in the league. He comes in there and starts pancaking people left and right. He could be comeback player of the year. Big Ben missed the whole season. Let him come back, have a 4,500-yard season, and the Steelers, be exceptional. AJ Green, he missed most of the year. Let him have a good year with Joe Burrows. He could be it. And then the other one I thought about that was like, ooh, this guy could win it. Could be the second time he won it. Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Let Nick Foles get a chance to lead that Chicago Bear team and kind of have the same type of thing he had in Philly. Not necessarily, Super Bowl and stuff like that, because obviously that was just a very, very happy surprise that he was able to do that. But if he can come in there and just be successful with the Bears team that has really been lacking at the quarterback position since they drafted Mitch Trubisky. So I think Trubisky's on extremely short leash this year. Let them start off the first freaking 4 games and only have 1 win in there or something like that, and he could easily get yanked, and Nick Foles could take the helm. So I'm like, he could be comeback player of the year. But for me, it's just like, if you just want an out-and-out favorite for it, I mean, I got to go with Gronk. He's healthy as hell, so it's not like one of the guys that's returning from an injury. He's healthy. He's got obviously his best buddy back. He's walking into a good situation where they've got another good tight end. So if they go double tight end split, with OJ Howard and him, and then you've got Mike Evans and Godwin on the outside, like he's walking into a great situation. He's healthy. I guess he's eager to play again, having that year off to rest. And one thing people got to remember, Gronk's really not that old. So they're like, oh, how will he be coming back after sitting out a year? To me, healthy, that's how he'll be. Because it's not like he's coming back at 39 years old. This guy he's still relatively young. So, yeah, it'll just be whether or not his body can hold up, because, he's got a bad elbow and a bad knee, and he takes a lot of shots because he runs like a statue straight up whenever he catches the ball. So, but I think, to me, he'd probably be the out and out favorite to win comeback player of the year.
Unless Alex Smith does.
I would love to see Alex
Smith. Redskins make the playoffs. That comes out of nowhere and make the playoffs. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, because this dude wasn't out just a year. He was out for a while. And then just the story of it all, like him almost losing his leg, like it would be just too much. It'd be too good. Too much of a Cinderella story for him to have a successful season. And actually, I would even say he's in the kind of same boat we were talking about rookie quarterbacks. He just has to have a good statistical year. Like, I don't even think his team has to be winners. Like, he can throw for 5,000 yards and, under, say, 10 picks. Like, I think he'll win it.
Let him play 500 ball after what they did last year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're talking about 3 wins last year. So let him come out, win 8 games. They'll be ecstatic.
Yep.
And not only that, he's got a very good coach. So,
Yep.
that I'll say. Speaking of coaches, we'll move on to the next one and the last category, coach of the year.
Oh, Bruce Arians. Easy.
Okay.
Easy. Yeah, Bruce Arians. You take that Tampa Bay team that was struggling, and with your new scheme, you were able to, keep Tom Brady afloat, and you go to the playoffs and, like, maybe even scratch at a Super Bowl. Like, yeah, he'll be coach of the year.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I had 2 that I really – obviously – I did this with all of my guys. I put like 4 on paper and then kind of like narrowed it down to 2. And the two that I came down to, one was Frank Wright for Indy. I think the guy still hasn't gotten as much credit as he probably should have, because he's got them trending in the right direction, and they are a very dangerous team, and they're only going to be more dangerous this year because now they've got Phillip Rivers and then also Jonathan Taylor. So, he's got more weapons. I think he's an exceptional coach, and I think he's right on the cusp of really getting that team to where they want to be, in the playoffs and then, legit Super Bowl contenders. So Frank Wright was the one guy I'm like, for these early candidates, not knowing what they're going to be. Yeah, I think Frank Wright is there. And then the other one is Sean McDermott in Buffalo, because I don't think people realize Buffalo has been good for the past couple of years, and they haven't really gotten any talk because obviously the Patriots have always been top of that division.
Well, also because they're not flashy.
Exactly.
They've been doing it with defense and a QB that is a running QB, but isn't running for the same numbers as say Lamar or Patrick Mahomes is doing.
Yeah.
And they're not blowing teams out. They're not scoring 35 points a game, every other game. They're winning ugly matches with their defense and in their gameplay.
But I think Sean McDermott can easily be a candidate these pro analysts have them going 12-4 and winning that division. And they won 10 wins last year, playoff team. If they do that again this year, make the playoffs, maybe win a game or two once they're in the playoffs, win that division, really show that hey, it wasn't, luck last year. We've been steadily improving since I got here, and we're only getting better. I think he could easily be a candidate for coach of the year. And then the no-brainer to me, Bill Belichick. Bill comes out with another different quarterback, and he wins that division and wins 11, 12 games and going to the playoffs. They're going to be like, all right, yeah, Bill, yep, give it to Bill. He did it again. He hasn't skipped a beat.
Nope.
But that's not necessarily dark horse, because Bill is always, you always got to mention him every year for Canada.
I don't know, when you bring up the conversation, is it Bill or is it Brady?
Oh, well.
Bill or Tom?
Yeah, well, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to be able to find out.
You got my man Jason Stidham back there slinging, and he throws for 50 touchdowns and 500,000 yards or whatever. You're gonna have to give it to Bill.
Really, it's only only two quarterbacks NFL history ever thrown for. He throws for 50 touchdowns. That dude's winning MVP.
Yeah. Now that'll twist the argument all around. What if you get Bill Belichick to win Coach of the Year, and then Tom Brady was most valuable player in the league? It's kind of dang, it was both of them.
Yeah, then it'll literally be like what I said. No, they kind of needed each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't one or the other. They were both really good and needed each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's a lot of coaches though that could probably win Coach of the Year just by. Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. Let them make the playoffs. He'll be a candidate for Coach of the Year. Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. Let him make the playoffs. He'll be Coach of the Year. Because you're talking about teams that, are always right around the 5-6 win mark. So if all of a sudden you turn around and you make it, to the playoffs, that's a wrap. For some reason, I'm blanking right now. Who won Coach of the Year last year? Was it Mike Vrabel?
Should
have been. If it wasn't, it should have been.
No, I want to say it was Harbaugh. John Harbaugh.
Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. It should have been Mike Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
Taking Tennessee from a very
average. Won Dunce of the Year too, because I don't know. I know we've been saying it for years. Derrick Henry should have been the lead back the moment they drafted him.
Since the second he stepped into the building, the starter.
I don't understand what took him so long. Even when you picked up DeMarco Murray, you drafted Derrick Henry, you wanted to sit behind DeMarco Murray and learn for a little bit. DeMarco Murray goes down. First game against, I think he played where he was the lead, the all-time or full-time back against Indianapolis. He rushes for 200 yards.
240.
That's 240
it. Yeah, 240 and 3 touchdowns. Yep.
Yeah. You win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think when the second time they played him, he did it again.
Yeah.
So I mean, like the guy, like every time he stepped on the field and he was the lead back, the main guy, like he did nothing but produce for him. And every time they would, punish him for it by putting him back on the bench, coming in as a special back or something like that, where even after DeMarco Murray left, you bring in Damian Lewis, like why?
Yeah.
Got a monster. So for him to finally snap out of it and say, yo, we got a monster. Let's take him off the chain and let him do what he does. And we're going to just ride it. Like, okay, yeah, finally. Good job.
And I think that might be what I always say, kind of like what separates good coaches from great coaches, because, you get coaches that we always say have that certain scheme and are like, no, I want to run this scheme. And their scheme may be, a running back by committee. And then they realize that, oh God, Derrick Henry is ridiculous. And instead of making the scheme fit around the players, they stuck with it and were trying to make the players fit the scheme. And it was like, no, bro, you needed to switch at that point and be like, hey, you know what? We're a full-blown running team now where we're going to run 70% of the time. And they didn't until this year. And it wasn't until they got Ryan Tannehill in there and been like, okay, we've got a good game managing quarterback who can light it up if we need. But his primary thing is, hey, just turn it around and hand it to Derrick. And then when, we do happen to get into a third down, then you can throw it here and there. So Vrabel wind up, smartening up and, doing the right thing. But he definitely, handled that situation wrong the first two seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, coach of the year is one of those things that, if you can take a bad team and, make them good, you're going to be a candidate. Or if you can take a team that could just never, like, get over the hump and get them to that promised land, then Mike McCarthy. Let Mike McCarthy go into Dallas and them actually, like, make it into the playoffs and win some playoff games, NFC Championship, something like that, then, yeah, I mean, he'd probably be a candidate too, just because they're like, hey, they spent 15 years with this one guy, getting them right to the playoffs and then not being able to get them past the divisional round.
So y'all get past 8-8, I think he might win coach of the year.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Y'all go 11-5, and like it's a wrap. This is done. Deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep, that is our picks for our way too early awards, because obviously without a game being played or anything like that, we're literally just, this is one of those fun things to do where, you're just like, hey, let's start predicting things right now before anybody even plays it down. So I tell you what, though, it's always fun to look back though and see like, were we even close?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. But that's all we got for this video, but we got another one dropping very, very soon. And it's going to be the one that we've been waiting on to debate for a while. And we're bringing our West Coast correspondent in to help debate this one. The next video is going to be who really should be called the GOAT. Is it Tom Brady or Peyton Manning? Or is it somebody completely different? Is it Joe Montana, Dan Marino, John Elway, Johnny Unitas? Who should it be? But right now we're going to break down whether or not Tom Brady deserves the GOAT nickname.
Always going to be Joe Montana to me.
You're a fucking fan.
Cool Joe.
Yeah. So that's it for us. Appreciate you guys watching as usual. Leave comments. Tell us who you think is going to, win some awards this year. And we'll debate that some more too. So appreciate you guys watching. I'm Dave Novak. That's Jason Jones. We'll catch you next time. Deuces.
All right.